Good morning, boys. Today we shall discuss about the bonding of coordination compound. Bonding of coordination compound. In your syllabus, there are two theories. One is valence bond theory, another is crystal field theory. So let us start today with valence bond theory. According to valence bond theory, this theory actually describes the bonding between the ligands and the central metal atom or ion. Bonding between the ligands and the central metal atom or ion. What type of bonding, how it is taking place, everything will be discussed here. Now, in valence bond theory, basically you remember this theory is based on the concept of hybridization. Concept of hybridization. According to the theory, the first point of the theory is that under the influence of the ligands, the metal atom or metal ion, central metal atom or central metal ion, uses its n minus 1 d ns np or ns np nd orbitals for hybridization. So let us understand this is inner D and this one is outer D. So either the inner D and the outermost electron, ns electron, np electron, these are involved in the hybridization process, or the outermost valence electron, ns electron, np electron and the outer d orbital can also involved in the process of hybridization. So these orbitals under the influence of the ligands undergo hybridization, forming a set of equivalent number of orbitals having a particular geometry like octahedral, tetrahedral, square planar, etc. This is the first point. The second point is these hybrid orbitals of the central metal. After hybridization, you will get hybrid orbitals. These hybrid orbitals of the central metal will overlap with the filled orbitals of the ligands, to form bonding, coordinate bonding. So this is the second point. The second point is, I repeat, the hybrid orbitals of the central metal atom or ion, basically they are empty, they will overlap with the filled orbitals of ligands for bonding. This is the second point. So there are 2 points. Then at the second point, there is overlapping between the hybrid orbitals and the filled orbital of ligands. This is the second point. Now, if you want to explain valence bond theory, basically we must give the reference of one of its limitation. The limitation is that it cannot explain the bonding, it cannot explain the type of hybridization unless and until the magnetic nature of the complex is known to us. So this is one of the limitation, and with the help of magnetic character, valence bond theory is quite successful. Now we shall explain some of the bonding of coordination compounds. Let us take with coordination number 6. Coordination number 6, I am taking 2 such examples. Coordination number 6, CO NH3 whole 6 3 plus. This is the metal ligand bonding. We have no interest with the counter ions here, because counter ions always link to the central metal through primary valency. So, and another example is CO F6 3 minus. So, these are two 6 coordinated complex, and we are explaining the bonding between the ammonia molecules and cobalt ion, and between the fluoride ions and cobalt ion with the help of valence bond theory. So first of all, you have to know the atomic number of cobalt. Atomic number of cobalt is iron cobalt 20, Z equals to 27. So cobalt atomic number 27. So Z equals to 27. Now it has cobalt 3 plus ion. So cobalt 3 plus ion, the configuration will be, electronic configuration will be argon over what I say 3D 3D6 4s0. This is the configuration. 18 plus 6 24, 24 plus 3 27. So this is the configuration of the metal ion, cobalt ion. It has D3D6 electron, 4s is empty, 4p is empty, and it has to accommodate 6 ligands. Therefore, see the hybridization. We are writing the process of hybridization. This is 3D, this is 4s, this is 4p. So let us see. There are 5 orbitals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in D. There are 6 electrons. How these 6 electrons are arranged? According to Hund's rule, these are arranged in this way: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 electrons are arranged in 3D orbitals. This is 3D, this is 4s, this is 4p. Now, valence bond theory, as I told you, that it cannot explain the bonding or hybridization without the knowledge of its magnetic nature. The magnetic nature of this complex is diamagnetic. See it here. And this complex is paramagnetic. As you know, that diamagnetic means all the electrons of the metal ion get paired, are paired. So diamagnetic, but we see there are 4 unpaired electrons. There are 4 unpaired electrons. So this means this can't be, if it uses the outer D, there will be 4 unpaired electrons remain in the 3D orbital, and this will make it paramagnetic. But it is given, experimental value is given diamagnetic. What happens when under the influence of ammonia ligand, these electrons are forced to pair up. These electrons are forced to pair up, and after pairing, the 2 orbitals get empty. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 2 orbitals of d orbitals get empty, and this is 4s is empty. This is 4p is also empty. So see it here. These orbitals are taking part in hybridization according to valence bond theory. So what we see, diamagnetic nature, but it is paramagnetic according to its configuration. Therefore, it suggested that under the influence of ammonia ligands, these electrons are forced to pair up in the half-filled d orbitals, making 2 d orbitals empty. These d orbitals, along with the outer s and p orbitals, undergo hybridization, and this hybridization is known as D2sp3 hybridization. So the cobalt ion undergoes D2sp3 hybridization. After D2sp3 hybridization, the cobalt ion will form an equivalent set of 6 hybrid orbitals. These are the hybrid orbitals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the 6 hybrid orbitals. These are all D2sp3 hybrid orbitals, number 1. Now the ammonia ligands NH3, you can write ligand equals to NH3 in this way to make it short. Ligand, lone pair, lone pair. Now these 6 ammonia ligands, Al means ammonia, will donate this electron pair for coordinate bonding. So donate this electron pair for coordinate bonding. This means that the filled orbital of the ligand overlap with the hybrid orbital of the metal, empty hybrid orbital, forming the coordinate bond. And the hybridization is D2sp3. Experimental magnetic nature is diamagnetic, which is also proved by this way, that pairing takes place here, spin pairing takes place here. So the complex is known as spin paired complex or inner orbital complex, because inner d orbitals have been used for hybridization. So the complex is known as spin paired complex, spin paired complex or inner orbital complex, inner orbital complex, or there is one more name that is known as what I say, inner orbital complex, spin paired complex and low spin complex, because whenever there will be spin pairing, the spin will get reduced. So it is also known as low spin complex, low spin complex. So see, this is how to explain the bonding of CONH3 whole 6,3 plus diamagnetic according to according to valence bond theory. First of all, you have to write the electronic configuration, then you have to see the outermost orbitals, then you have to see the how many orbitals should take part in hybridization, because there are 6 ligands to accommodate. So 6 orbitals must take part. Then you have to see the magnetic nature, whether pairing will take place or not, and then write the hybridization and see the diagram, that how the ligand molecules are overlapping with the hybrid orbital to form the coordinate bonding, and then you have to write the name of the complex, what type of complex is it. And at the same time, you can also write the geometry of the complex. For D2sp3 orbital hybridization, the geometry is octahedral. So you can write in this way, octahedral geometry. This is ammonia molecule, ammonia molecule. This is the diagram of the complex, ammonia, ammonia, ammonia. So this is the diagram of CONH3 whole 6, 3 plus. So octahedral D2sp3 and sp3d2 both are octahedral, remember it. Whether it is inner orbital or it is outer orbital, both are octahedral. So this one is the diagram of the complex. Now come to this one, COF6 minus. Again you see that COF6 minus, it is cobalt. Therefore, you can write in the same way. Cobalt configuration is similar to this. Cobalt configuration, D6 configuration, this is the configuration D6 configuration, this is 4s, this is 3d. So it is n minus 1d, ns, np. Now see, this is paramagnetic, that means the electrons are not getting paired, paramagnetic according to the experimental magnetic data, paramagnetic. So therefore, it is not, the ligands are not disturbing this one. Ligands are using the outer 4d. This is 4d, 4d, outer 4d orbitals for hybridization. And the hybridization is taking place sp3d2, sp3d2. This hybridization is sp3d2, sp3d2. Here you see that outer d orbitals are used up in the hybridization, forming a set of equivalent orbitals. These are the equivalent orbitals, 6 equivalent orbitals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these hybrid orbitals are sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. Now there are 6 fluoride ions, F minus, F minus, F minus, F minus, F minus, F minus. So fluorine has 3 electron pairs. It is donating 1 electron pair for coordinate bonding, coordinate bonding, coordinate bonding, coordinate bonding, coordinate bonding, coordinate bonding. So it is clear that this one is this complex COF6 minus. This complex is paramagnetic according to its magnetic nature, and the hybridization is taking place as sp3d2. So I again repeat that valence bond theory cannot explain the bonding unless the magnetic character of the complex is known. So magnetic character is known, and it explains that this is undergoing sp3d2 hybridization, and then 6 orbital empty hybrid orbitals are formed. These fluoride ligands are donating a pair of electrons to form a coordinate bond. The hybridization is sp3d2. The complex is known as, this complex is known as outer orbital complex. Outer orbital complex. As you know that here spins are free, so it is known as spin free complex. Spin free complex, or you can say high spin complex. High spin complex. So the basic difference is, this is inner orbital complex, this is outer orbital complex. Outer D used for hybridization, inner D used for hybridization. Spin, here it is spin paired, here it is spin free. Here it is low spin, here it is high spin. This is the bonding of COF6 minus paramagnetic. Now come to another two examples, that is for what I say, that is for 4 coordinated complex. 4 coordinated complex NiCN whole 4 2 minus and NiCl4 2 minus. See, the magnetic nature will be given to you, and you have 4 examples, so it is better if you can keep it in your mind. This one is diamagnetic, and this one is paramagnetic. Again, we see paramagnetic. So diamagnetic complex NiCN whole 4 2 minus. So again you will explain in this way. First of all, you write the electronic configuration, nickel Z equals to 28, nickel 2 plus is here. So nickel 2 plus, its electronic configuration is argon over 3d8, 4s0, 4p0. These are the orbitals which can take part in hybridization. Obviously, d orbital can also take part in hybridization if necessary, and this depends upon the magnetic nature of the complex. So d8, now see d8, 5, 6, 7, 8, this is d8 configuration. 2 unpaired electron, you can see it here, it is given diamagnetic, therefore hybrid orbitals necessary for hybridization is 4. There are 4 ligands. So 1, 2, 3, 4 can take part in hybridization, but according to this it is diamagnetic. If we involve these, then it will be paramagnetic. Therefore again same thing is observed, the Cn minus ligand, it pushes this electron, forces the electron to pair up, making one d orbital empty. Now it is diamagnetic, and then it is using the orbitals 1, 2, 3, 4 orbitals, these 4 orbitals for hybridization. Naturally, the hybridization is dsp2. The hybridization is dsp2, 1 d orbital, 1 s orbital, 2 p orbital taking part in hybridization, dsp2. Now this is 3d8, all electrons paired up here, it is diamagnetic, all electrons paired up, diamagnetic, and there are 4 hybrid orbitals. These are the 4 hybrid orbitals, 1, 2, 3, 4. These hybrid orbitals are dsp2 hybrid orbitals. Now you see empty, there are 4 ligands, Cn minus, Cn minus, Cn minus, Cn minus, lone pair, there is lone pair is donated by Cn minus for coordinate linkage, and dsp2 hybridization is taking place. As you know that dsp2 is square planar, therefore the diagram of the complex will be Ni square planar complex like this. Draw it, Cn, 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 and it is 2 minus, right? 2 minus here. So see here, all these 4 bonds are coordinate bonds with central metal. Central metal, this is valence bond theory. Valence bond theory based on covalent, it is covalent bonding. Metal ligand bonding is covalent. It is covalent, especially you can say it is coordinate covalent, simply covalent. DsP2. It is diamagnetic. Now come to this, it is paramagnetic. Again you will understand that paramagnetic, this means these 2 electrons must be kept unpaired. So here under the influence of the ligand Cl minus ligand, chloride ligands, these spin pairing is not taking place. So this is at the first point it has been told that under the influence of the ligand, this is the influence. It is not telling the magnetic nature, but this is the influence. Whether Cn minus can force the electron to pair up, Cl minus can't. So this depends upon the nature of the ligand. Some ligands can force the electron to pair up, some ligands can't. Here Cl minus can't force the electron to pair up. Therefore, what happens? It needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 d orbitals intact. These orbitals are taking part in hybridization. So the hybridization will be named as, this is 4s, this is 4p, hybridization will be named as sp3, sp3 hybridization, and 4 orbitals are formed here, sp3 hybridization, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there are Cl minus, 1, 2, 3, 4, Cl minus, donating a pair of electrons for coordinate bonding, see it here, coordinate bonding is there. Now this is clear that DsP2, sp3 hybridization has taken place. Therefore, the diagram of definite arrangement that we say, that arrangement will be tetrahedral for sp3. Here it is nickel. This is tetrahedral arrangement. Cl, 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 Cl. These are all coordinate linkage, and the charge of the complex is 2 minus. So this you can write it is tetrahedral. Sometimes what we see that when you draw the diagram, it is very difficult, student diagram, it's difficult to understand what type of diagram has it drawn. So better if you write it is tetrahedral, it is square planar. So these are the 4 examples that you will see in the valence bond theory for bonding, metal ligand bonding. There is one more such example, that is NiCO4, this complex. This is valence bond theory. You will try to find out the bonding of nickel and carbonyl with the help of valence bond theory and seeing its magnetic nature. What should be the magnetic nature? Okay, here you know that nickel is in 0 oxidation state. That means no electron has been transferred from nickel. 0 oxidation state means D8, 4s2. All these electrons will be present. Here 4s2 will be present. Now these 4s2 electrons. What do we see? This complex is diamagnetic. I am just telling DIA, diamagnetic. Okay. So it is, these electrons get paired up under the influence of the ligand carbonyl. These electrons 4s to 3d, and then 3d will be completely paired. It will be diamagnetic, and S will be vacant, sp3. There are 4 ligands, so sp3 hybridization will take place, and it is a diamagnetic complex. sp3 hybridization will take place, and the structure of NiCO4 will be tetrahedral also. So these examples, and then you will see the limitations of valence bond theory. There are many limitations. First limitation is that it cannot explain the bonding between metal and ligands, metal ion and ligands without the knowledge of magnetic character. Second limitation is that it is unable to explain the color of coordination compound. It is silent about color. Third limitation is that it is unable to distinguish between sp3 and dsp2 complexes without the magnetic character. These are the limitations of this, and it is completely silent about the stability of coordination compounds. These are the limitations of valence bond theory. Okay boys, next day we will discuss about crystal field theory.